Good evening, and welcome to tonight's edition of 60 Minutes. I'm your host, Christian Wimmer. In tonight's episode, we will discuss three of the world's religions: Hinduism, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Catholicism. Though they have similar questions about the world, the pursuits for these questions, including their traditions, principles, and values, are what define them. This and oh so much more in tonight's episode of 60 Minutes News.
Hello, I am Mike Witkowiak.
I'm Ed Nunez.
I'm Eric Carlson.
And I'm Christian Wimmer. These stories and many more on tonight's edition of 60 Minutes News.
Hinduism, believed by many to be one of the oldest religions in the world, has stood the test of time and remains to be very similar to how it was when it was originally founded. Its strong beliefs and values have kept it as one of the most practiced religions in the world, and although there are many sects of Hinduism, all believe in some principles that will be discussed next. Hindus believe that there are many things wrong with this world, but the main issue is violence. They believe that every living creature has an Atman, which is a soul or essence that is a part of them. If somebody harms or does wrong to anything with an Atman, it gives them bad karma because it is disrespectful to the creature's soul. Violence was such a big issue to the Hindus that Gandhi created a policy of nonviolent resistance called the Satyagraha. Ahimsa means nonviolence, and Hindus try to practice it in their daily lives, and this causes many Hindus to become vegetarians. The Hindu goal is to achieve moksha, or Brahman. Brahman is the ultimate or absolute reality for Hindus, and it can only occur if they are released from the cycle of rebirth. Moksha is the pursuit of liberation from the cycle of rebirth through actions, thought, and devotion. So by having good karma, or in other words by doing good deeds, one can achieve an ultimate reality apart from oneself. Hindus believe that we are here because we are here to help others achieve their Brahman.
Jehovah's Witnesses, a somewhat radical sect of Christianity that has a unique set of beliefs and practices that differ from mainstream Christianity. What sets them apart is their unique translation of the Bible and Holy Scriptures. They fervently believe that they are the one true Christians and desire to separate themselves from people of other faiths. Their answers to the big questions are to follow.
Jehovah's Witnesses was founded in the 1870s as an emergence from the Bible student movement. It is headquartered in Brooklyn, New York, under a governing body called the Watchtower Society. What separates Jehovah's Witnesses from other Christian denominations is their translation of the Bible, which they call the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. Some of the biggest questions in life are, what is our purpose in life, and what is our goal? Jehovah's Witnesses believe that our goal is to build a friendship with God. According to the letter of St. James, chapter 4, verse 8, says, "Draw close to God, and he will draw close to you." But how do you build this friendship with God? Jehovah's Witnesses believes they must follow the laws of God. As Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13 says, "Have reverence for God and obey his commands, because this is all that we were created for." Dr. Edmund Charles Gruss, professor of history and apologetics of Los Angeles Baptist College, wrote a work called Apostles of Denial, which laid out many of the doctrines and beliefs of Jehovah's Witnesses. He says in his work that ultimately man's destiny is death. Man, being now a sinful mortal, his ultimate destiny is death. He goes on to say that even though man's destiny is death, death is not the end. The soul does not die unless Jehovah wills it. As the Gospel of Matthew chapter 10 verse 28 says, "And do not become fearful of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul, but rather be in fear of him that can destroy both body and soul." Another big question in life is what is wrong with the world? Jehovah's Witnesses believe that society that they live in, specifically secular society, influences the people that follow the faith. As a consequence, they usually are isolated from people of other faiths, and they do not interact with others outside of their own religion.
Catholicism, the world's largest single religion. From the throne of St. Peter in Rome, the Pope's statements echo across the world to the 1.2 billion faithful through a well-organized and hierarchical structure that touches all parts of the globe. As this massive, powerful, and wealthy institution nears its 2000th birthday, its focus has shifted somewhat to social issues. But for many theologians, the big questions still remain. For one, the question of the existence of evil. This next segment will explore that question. According to many Catholic theologians, the biggest problem in the world is the existence of evil, not only because of the great harm that evil can and has caused, but that the existence of evil is one of the greatest arguments against the existence of God. Many people have abandoned the faith because they were unwilling or unable to reconcile the idea of an all-loving, all-powerful God with a world in which war kills thousands and millions more starve each day. The goal of the Church overall is to do away with evil, but in our reality that is a pipe dream, not at all suited to the world in which we live. A more realistic, grounded goal is to discover and educate people on how evil can be overcome and how evil does not disprove God. Theologian Peter Kreeft, writing for the Catholic Education Resource Center, in his article The Problem of Evil, lays out 4 points that could be a solution for this problem. The first outlines how evil is not a being, not a physical entity, not a thing created by God, but rather a choice, or a consequence of a choice. This does away with the notion that God, as the creator of all things, also created evil. The second point discovers that evil is the consequence of the created being, man, choosing to disobey his creator and embracing sin. Evil did not exist until man gave it a reason to exist. A simple example of this is to look at any one of the many Catholic saints. Men and women who embraced suffering and pain, but never embraced sin, and for that, they are remembered as great examples of holiness. The next point describes what is really the Father's solution, embraced by the Church: Christ. Christ came to earth and sought to truly end evil by allowing himself to be hung upon a cross and die. The heart and soul of the Christian religion is the belief that God allowed his Son to come to earth and die to accomplish the goal of ending evil as a part of human nature. The Church has tried, not always perfectly, to carry this mission forward since then. Finally, the fourth point questions the query, why do bad things happen to good people, by looking at 3 broad strokes assumptions within the question. First, that humanity deserves good things. Kreeft argues, why can't people be grateful for the things that they have instead of complaining about the things that they don't? The second point, is suffering really inherently bad? Without suffering, there would be no teaching moments, and the collective wisdom of the human family would not be able to increase. Third, who is man to say that he has a right to know God's reasoning? Animals cannot understand humans any better than man claims to understand God. Is it not possible, or even probable, that God has no intention for man to understand him, but rather wishes for us to trust in his guiding hand when all else fails? The Church teaches that only through study and understanding of these points can the problem of evil ever really be confronted in the world.
And now, let's take a closer look on Catholicism and its perspective on other religions' answers to these big questions.
The Catholic Church cannot and does not turn a blind eye to the many perspectives and religions in the world. The underlying principles rely on respect of these religions and an even greater appreciation of Catholicism itself. Numerous outlooks are to follow. The Catholic Church discusses the differing perspectives, as in 1 Corinthians chapters 12, verses 12 through 14. It states, "Just as a body, though one, has many parts, but all its many parts form one body, so it is with Christ. For we are all baptized by one Spirit, so as to form one body, whether Jews or Gentiles, slave or free, and we are all given the one Spirit to drink. Even so, the body is not made up of one part, but many."
Father wishes for us to trust in his guiding hand when all else fails. The Church teaches that only through study and understanding of these points can the problem of evil ever really be confronted in the world. On the issue of plurality, the Catechism of the Catholic Church, paragraph 843 states, "The Catholic Church recognizes in other religions that search, among shadows and images, for the God who is unknown yet near, since he gives all life and breath and all things and wants all men to be saved. Thus, the Church considers all goodness and truth found in these religions as a preparation for the gospel, and given by him who enlightens all men that they may at length have life."
On the Catholic Church and plurality, the Second Vatican Council in 1965, Pope Paul VI issued Nostra Aetate. where it says, "We cannot truly call on God, the Father of all, if we refuse to treat in a brotherly way any man created as he is in the image of God."
G.K. Chesterton discusses the differing perspectives in his writings entitled The Everlasting Man. He states, "Mysticism conceives something transcending experience. Religion seeks glimpses of a better good or a worse evil than experience can give. Reincarnation need only extend experiences in the sense of repeating them, in reference to other religions." But he states, "Nobody understands the nature of the Church, or the ringing note of the creed transcending from antiquity, who does not realize that the whole world once very nearly died of broad-mindedness and the brotherhood of all religions," in reference to the numerous religions and their need for cooperation and better understanding. It can be inferred from these viewpoints that all of God's children deserve tolerance from their brothers and sisters in the lifelong journey to better know and love God the Almighty.
In conclusion, Hinduism, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Catholicism. There's no doubt about it, these are three distinct religions, but one factor unites them all: man's pursuit for answers in a world full of questions. For 60 Minutes News, I'm Christian Wimmer signing off. Tune in next week for our exploration into the number 3. Does it really exist?